this week of June 28th. We'll start by reading our story for this week in our Spark Story Bible. And our story from Sunday in worship is Zacchaeus. So we're going to be reading the story of Zacchaeus to start our Faith 5 time as the read portion. And then at the end, we'll explain how to do the share, the talk, the pray, and the bless part if you are watching this recording from home. So welcome, and we'll go ahead and get started with our story. Zacchaeus. Many people lived in a town called Jericho. One of them was a rich man named Zacchaeus. He had a big house, a big yard, and lots of money. Zacchaeus was rich because of his job. He collected taxes from the people for the Roman leaders. However, Zacchaeus always took extra money from the people and kept it for himself. The people did not like Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus saw a crowd of people gathering along the side of the road and heard someone say, "Jesus is coming." "Jesus?" thought Zacchaeus. "Who is Jesus? He must be important. I want to see him." Zacchaeus wanted to see Jesus, but he had a problem. Zacchaeus was short, too short to see Jesus from the back of the crowd. So here's all these people crowded around to see Jesus coming along the road, but Zacchaeus is too short to see around them, and he knows that they don't really like him, so they don't want him pushing through to the front of the crowd. He needed to get in front of the taller people, but he knew they didn't like him. "They'll never let me in front," he thought. Then Zacchaeus had an idea. He found a tree next to the road where Jesus would walk. The tree was just the right size for Zacchaeus, so Zacchaeus climbed the tree. Now he could see everything. He could see the road, he could see the crowd, and he could even see Jesus. Zacchaeus got excited. Step, step, step. Jesus came closer and closer until he was right under Zacchaeus' tree. Suddenly, Jesus stopped. He looked up and saw Zacchaeus sitting in the tree. Uh-oh, was Zacchaeus in trouble? Maybe Jesus didn't like Zacchaeus either. Jesus started to talk to Zacchaeus. "Zacchaeus, come down from that tree. I want to have dinner at your house today." "What?" thought Zacchaeus. "Jesus wants to come to my house?" Quickly, Zacchaeus climbed down the tree. "This way, Jesus," said Zacchaeus. "This is the way to my house." The crowd grumbled. They were upset. Someone yelled, "How could Jesus go to Zacchaeus' house?" "Zacchaeus is a bad man," yelled another. But Jesus didn't hate Zacchaeus. He went to Zacchaeus' house. While they were eating dinner, Jesus told Zacchaeus, "God wants everyone to be part of God's family and to care for others." Zacchaeus listened closely. Jesus cared for Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus could care for others. He knew just what to do. Zacchaeus told Jesus, "I will give back all of the extra money I took from the people. I'll even give back more than I took." Zacchaeus met Jesus and changed forever. He cared about others. And this little star right here is something to help us think a little bit deeper about the story. It says, think of someone you don't always like. Say a prayer. Ask Jesus to help both of you be more caring. So that's the end of our story about Zacchaeus. And so we're going to continue with our Faith 5 as we do our summer faith at home. And our activity for this week is in your core kit, the Rubbermaid box that you have with all of your supplies for our summer weeks. I want you to find your Play-Doh. Everyone's is a different color, so find your little container of Play-Doh, and you can pull it out and start to use it. And what you're going to be doing is using your Play-Doh to recreate the story of Zacchaeus. So if you can find it on page 400 of your Spark Story Bible, and you can reread the story together to remember all of the parts. But you're going to be using your Play-Doh to create some of the different parts of the story. So think about the setting, think about the characters, and all of the pieces of the story. So if I was going to do this activity, I would maybe start, and I'd be thinking about some of the main things that I remember. And one of the things that I remember is the tree that Zacchaeus climbed so that he could see Jesus. So I'll take some of this Play-Doh and make a trunk for my tree, and then maybe some branches and some leaves for the top. All right, that's my sycamore tree. And then I'll make Zacchaeus standing by the tree, looking up and getting ready to climb. Because what was wrong in the story, right? He was too short. He couldn't see beyond the crowd. So we'll use this piece. Let's get a little bit more Play-Doh. This will be the crowd, all of the people that were kind of standing in Zacchaeus' way so that he couldn't see Jesus. And of course we need Jesus, right? So we'll add Jesus. He's walking down the road. We'll put him way back here so people can see him coming. They're pointing and yelling, "There's Jesus! Jesus is coming!" And Jesus is walking along the road. And here's Zacchaeus. He's curious too. He doesn't even know who Jesus is at this point necessarily, but he thinks that Jesus is important and wants to find out more. He can't see, so he climbs up in this tree, and now you can see a little bit better. He's a little bit higher. We can even stick him right up here with our Play-Doh. Perfect. And Jesus is walking by and says hello to the crowds and greets the crowds, and everyone's cheering and yelling and asking questions. And he stops at Zacchaeus' tree. And of course, Zacchaeus in our story thinks at first maybe he's in trouble. If the crowd hates him, maybe Jesus has heard about Zacchaeus and the terrible things he's done. And maybe Jesus already hates him. But Jesus has a surprising response. He says, "Zacchaeus, I'm going to your house for dinner." And Zacchaeus is shocked that Jesus would want to hang out with him and to come to his house. But he climbs down the tree, and they walk to Zacchaeus' house together. We can make Zacchaeus' house out of Play-Doh too. All right, there's Zacchaeus' house. They've arrived. And they come there together and have dinner. And Jesus teaches Zacchaeus about what it looks like to care for other people. And he reminds Zacchaeus that he cares for Zacchaeus. It doesn't matter the things that he's done, the bad things or the good things, that Jesus cares for Zacchaeus no matter what. And that Jesus reminds Zacchaeus that it's important for all of us to care for each other in that same way. And so Zacchaeus has kind of this light bulb moment where he realizes that all the things he's been doing with other people's money, he could, instead of keeping it for himself, he could give it back. So he gives it back to people, and then he gives them even more than he took from them, as a reminder that he cares for them, and that that's what God asks us to do, is to care for others, and to do some hard things sometimes, to love and to forgive others and to show care. So that's our activity for today, and you can continue to act that out and remember all of those parts of the story, especially that main point, that Jesus cares for you and Jesus asks us to care for others. So that's what you can talk about amongst yourselves and ask each other some questions and maybe remember some of those main parts of the story. And then you'll finish by praying together. You could even do that prayer from our story Bible earlier, about praying for somebody who you might have a hard time getting along with, and praying for not just yourself or just for that person, but for both of you to show care to each other. So you could pray a prayer similar to that, or one that you think of on your own. Share your highs and lows together, and you can pray for those as well. And then you'll end with a blessing. And so for that, you'll mark yourself and the people around you with the sign of the cross and remind yourselves that you are blessed and loved children of God. Thank you so much for joining us for Faith at Home this week, and we'll see you next Thursday at 11.